welcome to my first video about lungs, and today we're going to be looking at breathing mechanisms. So in today's video we're going to look at the muscles that control breathing and inhalation and exhalation. And those three muscles are your internal intercostals, your external intercostals and your diaphragm. Your intercostals are another name for your rib muscles, and the diaphragm's a muscle that sits just beneath the lungs, and it acts like a bellow to essentially change the pressures and the volumes within the chest cavity so that air can move in or out. And so we're going to look first at inspiration. So as in inspiration, the first thing to occur, or what happens, is the sets of muscles, or the external intercostal muscles, contract and they pull your chest up and out. And so if you put your hand on your chest now and breathe in, you'll notice that your chest seems to move up and out, and that's caused by the contraction of the external intercostals. Now your intercostal muscles work antagonistically, so they work in pairs. So as your external ones contract, the internal ones relax. And so your diaphragm contracts, this muscle found here, and that goes to a kind of flatter shape. And so we can think of inspiration as being the following steps. Your external intercostals contract and your internals relax, and they pull your ribs up and out. The diaphragm also contracts and it flattens. And this increases the volume of the thorax, and thorax is just a name for the upper chest cavity. What that does is that increases the volume inside the chest, and so by increasing the volume, the space inside the chest, you actually reduce the pressure inside of the lungs. And what that does is, because the pressure has to equalise from out to in, more air moves into the lungs, and your air and the lungs inflate. Now breathing out or exhalation can be thought of as the complete opposite of breathing in, and so what happens is basically breathing in but in reverse. And so what happens, your external intercostals, they will relax, and your internal ones are the ones that contract, and they pull the chest back kind of down and in. So again, if you put your hand on your chest and breathe out, you'll kind of feel that your chest move kind of down. The diaphragm then relaxes, so it returns to its original domed kind of position, and what this does is this reduces the volume or the size of the space found within the lungs or the chest cavity, and what this will do is this will increase the pressure within the lung, and therefore the air will be forced out. And so what we have here is a kind of cross-section diagram of the respiratory system, and you've got some of the different sections labelled. And so what essentially happens during exhalation and inhalation is the volume inside the chest cavity will alter, and therefore that will determine whether air moves in or out. If you join me on the next video, we'll be looking at a spirometer trace and be looking at calculating minute ventilation.